Hi Graeme, good afternoon.
Hi, Sean. Afternoon.
I thought we'd just spend a little bit of time talking about the subject of transitions.
Yeah.
Because it's come up quite a lot in conversations that people within the company have had with our customers.
Sure. Important topic. Yeah.
Very important topic. So, first of all, do you want to just start off by giving us a little bit of background about why this has come about? Why have transitions come along and legacy systems need to go?
Sure. The main driver, two drivers actually. One is the component electronics. So we see now the churn in the electronics industry. You only have to look at the amount of smartphones that come out each year, smart speakers, all of the things we see in our domestic lives. Mm-hmm. The major manufacturers of these products are really the drivers that pull the demand from the component manufacturers.
Okay.
So some of our legacy products, as you know, have been in the market for a long, long time, and they're designs that have been around for a long, long time.
Yes.
We can't, with hand on heart, guarantee that the component parts are going to be around for a long, long time.
Yeah.
There's a lot of churn in that industry, and it's a churn that's outside of our control. Mm. So we want to try and control that risk and manage that risk by taking control of the situation and have a managed withdrawal that is all within our control. Okay. The other factor, just briefly on that, is cybersecurity. Now, there's no concerns about any of our legacy products, but similar to the electronics churn, the amount of updates that we see, every morning when I fire up the PC, it's doing another update. My phone, I have to enter my code every so often because it's done an update overnight. That's all keeping a pace and keeping ahead of any cyber threats.
Yeah.
Equally, keeping pace with that is another cycle of update. And that's a challenge. That's a challenge on all these legacy lines.
Yeah, okay. As I say, these are genuine questions we've received from customers. One of the ones that has come up is why such short notice? A letter's gone out recently, well, actually in April time, saying that there was a 12-month notice period, and people are concerned that that's not long enough.
Sure. So we offered or announced that full year's period. But bearing in mind, and you'll know this better than I, EcoStruxure, our mainstream product line, has been around for quite a long time, probably 4 or 5 years at least. I think the mention of transition has been in the marketplace.
Yes.
But for us to take control and try to manage those risks, we believed a full 12-month period, including the sort of financial year in there as well, would be enough to sort of trigger that transition action formally.
Okay.
In addition to obviously to the efforts that were in place in the years that preceded that.
Okay, all right. So are we saying by this April 2020 deadline, are we saying that people have got to fully have changed their systems by now?
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
What we're recommending is that in this period, customers, with our help obviously, plan a transition path.
Okay.
So they don't have to change anything. Systems are not going to stop working overnight on the stroke of midnight on that day in April. Everything will carry on working and controlling quite happily, probably for many, many years to come.
Sure.
But we're withdrawing those products, so it's sensible that customers plan a transition pathway such that they know what to do when they need more parts or more products and so on in the future.
Okay.
So the plan is the important thing.
Is that something we can help them with?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah,
and in most cases, I'd say there's a lot of customers who've probably got a plan in place.
And are already on that journey.
On that journey. Yeah. Okay. So from a customer point of view, obviously we've got different sizes of installations.
Yeah.
Is that transition plan likely to be similar for all of those?
I think it depends very much on the customer application.
Okay.
So... And also, of course, the legacy system that they may well have installed. The Schneider brand includes many legacy acquisitions over many, many years. The UK is one of the markets where there's possibly the most number of legacy systems.
Yes, agreed.
Around. So it depends on that. It also depends very much on the application. So there could be high risk. Critical application. You can imagine a hospital intensive care unit, for example.
Yes.
High priority, significant consequence of any issues, and so on and so forth.
Agreed.
And a whole scale all the way back down to some fairly low scale risk profiles. So the risk profile of the application, the age of the equipment, the type of equipment, all of these factors would come into play.
Yeah.
And what our teams would help with is how to manage that plan, how to construct a plan that would be appropriate for the type of application.
Yeah, as you say, it's all about trying to minimise the risk, isn't it? Make sure we've got contingencies in place. One of the questions that has come up from customers is obviously there's a perception, or there was a perception up until now, that they'd have to take out all of their existing system and replace it with a brand new one. And obviously that opened up the potential of them looking at other providers in the marketplace. Is that the case? Do they really need to do that?
Absolutely not. No, there can be, again, dependent on that application and that risk profile, a planned approach, which could be piece by piece. It could be nothing. If the risk profile is low with a customer, it could be a plan that actually is, well, we're not going to do anything, maybe carry a couple of spares until something happens and then act.
Yeah.
But as long as that plan is in place so that the customer knows what the approach would be in that eventuality, then that's fine. There'll be different cases on different applications.
Yes.
So it's not a one-size-fits-all.
No, it's an individual plan, as you say, for each customer based on risk.
But it's certainly not the case that entire systems need to be replaced at all. You know, it will be a case-by-case, maybe item-by-item approach.
Okay, so over a period of time, for instance.
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Excuse me. What kind of legacy system support? Obviously, there are customers out there who've got substantial investments in legacy systems. Once we get to April 2020, what sort of support can they expect?
Sure. Everything that they currently enjoy. So if there's a service contract in place, you know, our engineers will still be able to engineer those legacy products. They'll still be able to make adaptations and software changes if the customer changes the use of a space, for example. The only difference is they won't be able to buy new of those particular
if they fail.
hardware items if they fail.
Yeah.
And that's where the transition plan comes in, because if there is a failure or a more significant change to the site that would need new equipment, that equipment would be new equipment, EcoStruxure system, not one of the legacy lines.
So if they refurbished one of the buildings, for instance, that would be something where they would go down the EcoStruxure for building operation rather than... Okay.
And a great opportunity in that example to liberate a couple of spares.
Yes.
To use in another area of the building to breathe a bit more life into that. But again, it's important to reiterate, this is not a case of a complete replacement needed.
No, this is not a rip out and replace from what you're saying. This is a transition, and hence that brings the over a period of time sort of approach to this. Okay, all right. There have been questions raised by one or two customers who have a global operation.
Yeah.
That they understand that in certain countries in the world they will still be able to purchase legacy spares after the April date.
Yes.
But just not in the UK. Is that correct, or is there a reasoning behind that?
That is the case, and I can understand the sort of confusion or point being raised there. As I mentioned, the UK is one of the markets where we have probably the highest number of different breeds of system over the years.
Okay.
The shape of that is different around the world. So some of the other countries have got more of one and not another, and so on and so forth.
Sure.
So those other countries, they're certainly in the same mindset as us, but their installation profile is different to ours. So as a business, their whole risk profile, I suppose, for their customers is slightly different. But as a group, they're watching us very closely because we're sort of leading the way in this approach, and I think other countries will follow.
Okay. Again, the sense I get from what you're saying is about trying to manage risk for the customers, which is obviously critical in all this. So we are going to have certain customers who will have had new build carried out and completed fairly recently. What happens in their circumstances going forward? Sure.
So everything warranty-wise, we will maintain. So all of the statutory rights and so on is maintained. So if it's a little like buying a new car, if you buy the new car on the day before the new model arrives, you may be lucky that you got a great deal. You may also be slightly annoyed that, if I'd have waited a day, I could have got the new model.
Yes.
So there's always going to be a cut-off point.
Yes.
A line has to be drawn. But if you buy on the very last day, whether that's for a new installation or spares or whatever the reason of that purchase is, that full warranty period we honour.
Okay.
And that's
which is good.
That's part of the T's and C's and so on.
Okay, that's good. So one last question on this subject then, Graeme. Can customers buy spares for their legacy systems now?
Yes, they can.
Or would that be better invested elsewhere?
Again, customer choice, customer application. Yes, they can buy spares now. My advice would be consider that purchase because, mindful those products are going to be withdrawn. Mm-hmm. Is that a wise investment? I would suggest if it's one or two for kind of critical emergency spares,
sure, absolutely
fine. If a customer is considering a large investment in these legacy lines, think again, seek some advice from the Schneider guys about that. Would that money be better spent on a transition? If we've got the plan, could that transition be kicked off and underway with that sort of level of investment?
Yeah.
But again, it's customer by customer, application by application. But just to consider that purchase. But yes, until April, all legacy lines remain available.
You mentioned there about your local Schneider team. Obviously, they're the right people to engage with now to help put the plan together and also consider what the risks are, yes?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Brilliant.
Yeah, and that's our direct team, our services team, great relationships with the end users there. Mm-hmm. If a client doesn't have a direct relationship with the Schneider Electric team, they may have a relationship with our EcoExpert partner network as well, who are equally skilled and experienced in the transition methods as well. So, my recommendation, transition plans with the assistance of your local Schneider Electric representative.
Sure. Okay, great. That's lovely. Thank you very much for your time. It's been very helpful.
Thank you very much.